definitely is a problem now.
Have them take away all the glory from the younger generation. You just have to address what they're doing and why. For example, Team Guy was away on a mission during Pain's invasion. That's why they weren't there. Yamato was also on a mission with Sai and Uncle to track down Kabuto. That's why Yamato wasn't there to suppress the Nine Tails. Kakashi was on a mission during the Sasuke retrieval arc. That's why he couldn't just go on the mission with Naruto. Kakashi was in a hospital after overusing his Mangekyo Sharingan in the Kazekage rescue arc. That's why he couldn't go on the Tenchi Bridge mission with—
And what you're describing right here is what makes a lot of narratives good, is when both the protagonist and the antagonist can go all out with the limitations in place. Why doesn't the story end immediately right now? The author has to write that in a satisfying way, but usually that's set up going into it to where it is satisfying, to where those people are out of the village. So then the people that are there are able to go out without having the story end immediately. Okay, Kakashi's not capable of taking down Tendo Pain by himself. And so he is someone that can go all out fighting Tendo Pain. And this is especially in movies why you usually have so few clashes between the protagonist and antagonist, because usually one side would just stomp the other side and that's the end of the story. That's why they have to leave or run away usually. But when you can write it in a satisfying way to where both sides are able to go all out, that's when you have a narrative peak geniusness.
Yeah, and like most of the stuff is just, at least in this case, it's just so easy. It's the easiest thing in the world. Just like, I address this later, but like, thinking this Sasuke retrieval arc, Tsunade says, hey, we gotta send all these Jonin on these missions because we need the village to look strong, blah, blah, blah. You can just do something similar and just have Shikamaru say like, hey, all the Jonin are away in the village. You know, the Hokage is dead, we gotta look strong, whatever reasoning it is, it doesn't matter. Maybe they're all looking for code. Like, the point is, just make up some bullshit reason.
Yeah.
It's infinitely better than this.
I was about to say that literally, like, almost word for word. In the frickin' code arc, they couldn't destroy the door that was too expensive despite the stake of the entire world. At least they're giving me a BS reason. I don't have to care if it's contrived. It's there in the story, regardless if it makes sense or
like,
not.
These cases are, like, some of the examples we're giving right now are, like, shitty reasons. It doesn't make as much sense as it did in the Sasuke retrieval arc, for example, but it's a reason, and I can accept it. But this is just bad. and like I feel like we should watch the whole video, then we can have collective thoughts at the end again.
Yeah, like just continuing that point, really, or finishing that point. At least I have something in the story to point to. In that case, I just have nothing in this case. Like, I just got to make something up. But there's nothing satisfying.
It's just headcanon, and like I will say with some comments, and this kind of goes in line with something Troy said in that stream with them, but it's like, just saying that we need to just, we should just know the answer. No, that's headcanon. It's headcanon that Kiba's on a mission. Nothing indicates it. There's no clues indicating it. It's just bad.
And shout out the haters that are like, oh, you don't have to be spoon-fed everything. It doesn't have to be on the page. Some things can be nuanced. It's the subtext. There's no text at all to be subbed in the first place. Okay, these aren't narrative things.
There's no sub and there's no text.
These aren't narrative.
This is basic writing 101. I don't know what to tell you, bro. Like, this isn't a hard concept. What you're gonna say real quick while I'm doing this, and then I'll get my phone to get the other things.
So, if you had to write a reason for Sakura not being in the story, what would you do? I'll give mine first. So, I will say for the Pain Arc one, chasing down Kabuto, that's a relevant reason for the story at that current moment, but in terms of like an active role in the story, it has nothing really to do with the Pain invasion of why they're written out. They're just coincidence at that point. And so it's also just general, like, oh, they're on a mission. You could just write that out at any point. So, like, the Sasuke retrieval, again, there's a reason that all the Jonin are on a mission at the point. Like, that's almost the point, is that they were just done with the Konoha crush, and so they're having to look strong by sending all the Jonin out, so that's just coincidental timing right there. But, like, at any point, at any arc, you could just write, oh, they were out on a mission, and it's completely acceptable. But that's, like, the most minimal general excuse that you can apply at any time that's not relevant to the current story. And so how I would write it to write them out in the current moment in the story is that I would just have the Claw Grime invasion having just never stopped. Have it even be like a 24/7, what's the word, like a castle, not barrage, not invasion, but like the surrounding
Castle siege, whatever it's called.
Siege, yeah, we'll go with that. I feel like there's another word for that, but yeah, it's where they drain the
There is,
resources.
probably.
Yeah, so it could be a thing like that's happening. They just cut off their access to the outside world, and so all the Jonin are going out to go fight the Claw Grimes. Or even because the Shinju are invading, they can just, like, focus, like, 1,000 Claw Grimes on an individual Jonin to stay out of their way, so they just don't have to deal with them, so they can just go chase down their target freely. But at that point, that's a relevant way to write them out of the story. And it's a cool way, too. You don't even have to show the fight. Just know that it's happening. I mean, maybe like a couple panels so that we can just know it's happening.
Yeah.
But, like, that's how I would do it personally. Just use the Claw Grimes that are already there. And tie it in with the previous
It would be a good way to use the Claw Grime. Now, I will make some adjustments to that, though. Because as it is, Claw Grime are way too fodder. Sarda's just bodying them left and right.
Mm-hmm.
So... can't use those, but what we can do...
You can if there's like 1,000 of them. The same with like the Zetsu from the work, but please go ahead.
No, I got a better idea.
Okay.
I don't want Sakura fighting white Zetsu. The evolved Claw Grime, we only had one. Why don't we just have, like, I don't know, 50 of them evolve?
Oh, okay.
Like,
I can see
the whole thing, the whole shtick of this arc is that they evolved. So why aren't there more evolved Claw Grime? Like, if anything, they should all be evolved now. So let's just have an army of the ones that were pressing Kawaki a bit. They can fight Sakura and everyone else or whatever, because we already have a precedent that they are strong. We've already seen it. Mm-hmm. And so that's a good way to do that one.
And like I was
strategic on the Shinju's part. And so that just works.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, like I said, you don't have to do the invasion thing. So what can you do? Why is Sakura out of the village? We can brainstorm some ideas. One of which could just be, granted, this one's going to run into the problem of why didn't they do this sooner? But I'll mention it. Maybe Sakura goes to visit Tsunade as with the Byakugo seal. You know, nobody ever did it. So someone's got to go at some point, right? Now, why is Sakura conveniently going at this moment? That's pretty stupid, so I don't really like it. But, you know, that's just the first option that came to mind.
I have an idea, because this would be working with narrative irony, is that Sakura is going out of the village in order to look for Sasuke. You know, her traitor husband who left the village.
Ooh, okay. That's actually better than the second option I was going to say is people are looking for Code, not to fight him, but just to track his whereabouts, because he is a mystery. You know, where did he go? What is he going to do? She could have a lot of them on that mission, but I like the idea of some ninja also looking for Sasuke and Boruto. Because at the end of the day, Boruto left. Obviously, Shikamaru knows and stuff, but just have someone have already been on that mission. For example, Sakura could have volunteered.
No, I think Sakura should have been the leader of this mission. She should have been the one that got this group together in the first place. The reason they're out there.
I was going to say, the gray area with this is, would Shikamaru, you know, pre-omnipotence bullshit, let Sakura be the leader of that mission?
I think that would...
Maybe not, but if Sakura just convinces them to be like, look, if there's anyone who can bring Sasuke back, it's me. Naruto's not here, that means it's me. She could just talk Najutsu and Shikamaru into it.
Exactly.
Why the fuck not?
Like, it's a conflict of interest, but that's exactly what the story should work with. That drama there. That Sakura's the best and worst person to take on this mission.
Yeah, and I think that would be super fucking good character moment from Sakura in this case. And so, in this case, Sakura's a great leader. Shizune's got the hospital. She can even use the argument of, we're in a time of peace, Shikamaru. Shizune is more than capable of handling the hospital stuff
good,
right
bro,
now.
yeah.
Well, I take care of this. And then, so who's on this team? Well, let me tell you who's on this team. Sakura, Rock Lee,
Konoha,
Kiba,
Hanabi,
so
Kakashi.
I will say, you put Kakashi. That's another, actually. If Sakura wasn't going to be the leader and doing all this shit, Kakashi should be that. But yeah, have Kakashi. Kakashi would definitely be on board with helping out for this mission. Like, he did the fucking Hidan worshiper, Ryuga, whatever his name is, mission. I'm sure he's cool with, looking for Sasuke. Anyway, you have
throw
Sakura,
Mirai in
Kakashi,
that mission as
Rock
well.
Lee, Kiba. Might Guy would obviously go. Even if he's not going to do a whole lot, he would go. The one person I say, okay, Shino could stay because he's an academy teacher, but you know what? Fuck that. Aruka can say, Shino, we need you on this mission. I'll take care of the students. They need your scouting abilities, because you got to remember, Hinata's gone. So,
and Kiba and Hinata.
Let's use Shino. And you know what, actually? Fuck it. Hanabi's going to disappear anyway. She's going to take Hinata's place and be the Byakugan. So you've got the scent, you've got the bugs, and you've got the vision. They're a very good scouting team here. You send your 3 best scouts, okay? And they're going to go look for Sasuke. And you have Sakura and Kakashi to talk no jutsu him, as well as to be the Bronze. And you have Rock Lee for the Bronze as well. He's ready to use the 8th gate if need be, okay? Old Gen Salt. Okay, the one person I ignore here is Tenten. You know what? Tenten can die on the mission. I don't care. Okay?
It'd be cool.
Stakes to the mission. Tenten can be fighting Code.
It'd be cool if they had a line that was like, we haven't all gathered like this on a mission since the Itachi Pursuit mission. It's just a random line to throw in there. Just for nostalgia fan service sake.
You know what's funny? I thought of a different quote when you were saying that, and I'm going to reference it the dumbest way possible. They meet together. How long has it been since we've all come together like this? 7 years. Not since Sasuke left us. But you guys, obviously, it'd be 3 years. Not since Sasuke left us. But now Sasuke has that adopted son of Naruto's. You mean, wait, Kawaki's brother? You get what I'm doing.
Yeah. Okay. So 2 things about this is that I think, one, it'd be very narratively satisfying if at the end of this arc, after 3 years of looking, Sakura and et al. Eventually stumbles across Tree Sasuke. I think that should be the end of this arc. They find that place.
Okay, so...
Which also that takes away Boruto having that as a location or landmark where he can just hide out or whatever. Because now Konoha knows about it.
It doesn't seem like he's really using it that much anyway, because they had the Orochimaru hideout. But anyway, what I'm thinking is, we're going to get the Bad Omen scene earlier in the arc. So, it's been established in... Honestly, just do this in Chapter 1. This is the best time to do it. They're going to be gone for all this shit, because the Code Invasion, Shinju Invasion is like, 3 days time? Not that long. So, they're on this mission in Chapter 1, and maybe Sarada mentions to Sumire, my mom's on a mission, and my mom does or doesn't believe me, whatever she says about that. You know what? They could be talking about omnipotence, and just Sarada can say, like my mom and the other Jonin, they're all looking for Boruto and Sasuke, just to add tension to that whole thing.
Really quick. I think it'd be great if Sakura had a line such as, I don't believe you, externally, but like internally, she's like, I have to say this because Konoha, and you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the reason that she's led on the mission in the first place. The reason she's able to convince Shikamaru that she is able to take this is because she does think Sasuke is a traitor, so she is going to go pursue him as a ninja. But like deep down, she actually has believed it the whole time, but she can't say it out loud.
The way I would approach that is have Sarada say in the first chapter, even my mom doesn't believe me. And this works well because in Chapter 5, by the way, Sarada says, but still, my dad, as in imply her dad is the only one who believed her. So I'm just going to say right now, real quick, that Chapter 5 implies that Sakura doesn't believe Sarada, or sort of just never talk to her, which is both of which are completely absurd. I'm just going to say that right now. We'll come back to it later. But anyway, you have Sarada say, even my mom doesn't believe me, whatever. And then later on, you have a scene of Sakura thinking to herself, like, I'm sorry, Sarada. I like whatever, like I had no choice but to lie to you. It's the only way I could be on this mission, blah blah blah. Anyway, then right before the Shinju invade, Sakura has her teacup, bad omen scene, whatever thing is gonna omenify that's, and Sakura's gonna say, like, I have a bad feeling. Then Hidari and Jora show up. Obviously, Sakura doesn't know this. It's just gonna happen. And then, the invasion happens. And then at the end of the arc, she finds the Sasuke tree, and then she comes back home. Honestly, while these code invasion things cool, I think narratively, this last one we just talked about is the best one. Yeah. And I think we can just implement code in some manner with Matsuri's research, whether it's coincidence, she uses code to her advantage, or whatever the hell happens there. You can use code for whatever. I like this idea of the Sasuke tracking squad. All the old gen are just on it, because of course, all the old gen would be invested in this mission. Naruto's son, or the kid who killed Naruto, and Sasuke being a traitor again. You bet your ass they all want to be on this mission.
By the way,
every single one of them.
So, okay, two things about, there's multiple things I have to say, but I want to say it'd be really interesting. I hate to take this away, but just remove the final panel from the end of chapter 4 or 5 to where Boruto's looking up and it's like, he's right, Sasuke, or Uncle Sasuke, or whatever. You remove that panel. You maybe add it in later. Maybe add that flashback in later. The first panel of Sasuke that we see, we get Hidari. That's fine. The first panel of Sasuke that we see is the Konoha 12 stumbling across that tree and their reaction to it. That would be cool, right?
Okay.
Yeah?
So, definitely. However, I'm going to say two things. I'm going to offer a potential way to approach it. Mm-hmm. This doesn't work. Okay, this is going to be a problem no matter what. But, as it is, they say, like we see Moegi being a tree. They say it's Sasuke Uchiha's chakra signature when he enters the village, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The reveal's not much of a reveal. You already know it at that point. It's been revealed already without seeing it. So what can you do? Well, in chapter 4, Boruto can go to Koji, to Orochimaru's hideout, and that can be the chapter where Sakura stumbles upon the tree. What do you lose there? One, it's not the end of the arc, so never mind that idea. And two, well, Sasuke in the background was one of the things that made that scene very thematic. Obviously, Koji's dialogue is very important, but having Sasuke in the background was the best combination there because those were Sasuke's words at the end of Naruto, in a sense. And I wouldn't want to lose that. Now, obviously, what can you do? You can do some back and forth thing. You just have Sasuke there when Sakura finds him, and Koji says this thing to Boruto, blah, blah, blah. And it kind of works, juxtaposing him like that. And then I guess Sakura and them just take, 20 chapters to get back home. That's fine, though, because if that's far away. But, yeah. Well, I do think you kind of mess with that scene a little bit, but maybe you think it's good enough.
You just got to rewrite it some way to where it makes sense, even just the sequencing of events. I also want to say, for this to work, I think you would probably disagree. I would personally like it if we didn't know what the Shinju were, and we saw Hidari before learning what the Shinju are. And so then seeing the Sasuke tree is sort of the reveal that Hidari isn't Sasuke after all. Because like the first time we see Sasuke, you think it's Sasuke, but it actually is Hidari. You're like, oh my god, why is he covered with claw marks and has his Rinnegan back and is evil again? What happened over the time skip?
Yeah, and so obviously, simple rewrite. Just don't show the bug tree and just don't show the Moegi tree.
Yeah.
And that mostly covers it. Because honestly speaking, it's especially with Moegi, I hate to say it, nobody would be asking where she is. It's the easiest one to get away with because people are more likely to be like, what the fuck about Sakura than they are with Moegi. Mm-hmm. So you actually could get away with that one.
I have an idea.
Nobody would think anything of it.
Do you think this would make it better or worse if you don't show Mamushi, but you do show the bug tree leading up to it as sort of like foreshadowing, or like that is like an ominous bad omen right there? They don't understand what they're looking at.
Oh wait, shoot! I just realized another thing we have to change. Well, maybe we don't have to change this one. I like to say maybe we just shouldn't see the Sawagi tree in them, but I guess we could just see those trees, and then the Shinju are different people, so then we're like, okay, then what's the deal with these trees? Because none of these look like Sawagi or whatever. Granted, people already say that about Jira, but you get the point. Just have Sawagi look very distinct in a way that's very different from all the Shinju, so that way nobody thinks it's Sawagi.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way it's kind of like, okay, then who are these guys? The problem, though, is, I mean, it would still be a theory, but it wouldn't be as obvious, I guess. That said, interesting question. So we just don't see Mamushi. We just see the other ones?
We definitely see Hidari. That might be the only one. The only other one would maybe be Jura, because I feel like you can't show Matsuri just because she looks like Moegi. And so I feel like Hidari and Jura would be the only ones you can get away with, because Jura doesn't look like anyone necessarily. If you think he does, then fine.
What I was thinking, though, is if you don't see the Moegi tree, I mean,
yeah, we don't see Moegi tree or Matsuri. I don't think we could see that.
Well, because you could maybe get away with seeing Matsuri, but not the Sawagi tree. But
if we see the bug tree, we wouldn't know what happened to Bug. Like, we would just see the after effect. We wouldn't see any clog rhymes around. It'd be sort of maybe difficult to connect the two ideas together because we haven't seen a clog rhyme bite anyone, etc., etc.
Yeah, honestly, if we're gonna go with this hypothetical, I might just say, let's just basically delete chapter 2 entirely. And we just don't see Sawagi we don't see anyone become a tree. The tree thing's just a complete revelation. So we don't know why Bug's so in this case, you see Bug's a tree. You don't know why he's a tree. Boruto was talking about the 10 tails. We don't know that they're turning people into trees and all that jazz.
We don't necessarily need to delete chapter 2, but this works because, like you were saying earlier.
Well, no. Why? What's in chapter 2 that you're going to keep then?
Okay. Well, whatever. That's not what I was getting at there. That's a whole other conversation.
You have 1 page of dialogue. Boruto saying, thanks to you enhancing them, things are bad. The rest of it, you can just delete. You can just put that in any other chapter. It's fine.
What I was getting at there is the fact that Code should be controlling these clog rhymes at this point in time. And so he just has them slapping around like he did in chapter 1.
Okay, like that works too.
Yeah, this right here. So yeah, that works. In fact, this leads you like a red herring down a different direction, because this is what you think the clog rhymes do instead of biting people and turning them into trees. So then when you see Bug as a tree, you're like, oh my god, what happened? Especially, I think you should even go a step further and just make the trees look like small divine trees, like the things that Victor was growing, and Bug is just in the middle of it for some reason. If you just make it look like the word divine trees, it works.
Yeah, I guess that would help even better if it had a little bit more. It doesn't have to look perfectly, but a little bit more like Victor's, for example. But independent of the art aspect of that. Yeah, okay. In this case, no, obviously, if you don't want to do that, the slapping thing, you just delete chapter 2. I'm going to keep mentioning that. But anyway, in this case, we can just rewrite chapter 2. And chapter 2 is going to be actually cool. Boruto's not going to word Code 50,000 times and say the same thing over and over again. We're going to get actually cool clock rhyme fights. The clock rhyme will just be cooler when they fight. They'll fight strategic. They'll do what Hidari did, but with Code involved.
Exactly.
And so it's just going to be a cool fighting chapter. In this case, obviously, we'll keep our mission with Sakura and them, so they won't be fighting. But but ignoring that for now, okay, what if we address? Okay, so in this hypothetical, Sakura and all the other old gen are tracking down Sasuke and Boruto. Got it. And they are going to be the ones who find the trees. Bug will be shown as a tree, but Mamushi will either just not be shown yet, or he just won't be born yet. And same with Matsuri. We don't see Moegi's tree. We see Hidari and Jura, but no Sasuke tree until the end of the arc. The end of the arc is that revelation. Okay. That takes care of most of these things, honestly.
Yeah. Honestly, we might... I'd hate to say this, but we might not...
And yeah. And you go from there.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, all in all, regardless of everything else, just have the old gen on this Sasuke pursuit mission here. It's just, like, if there's one thing to be taken away from this rewrite hypothetical, have them on that mission. It literally fixes, like, 80 for them.
Yeah. I want to go back and rewrite chapter 80, just add one more thing onto the 20 hours of rewriting chapter 80 that we've already done. So going with the narrative irony, because this is the part that I'm most interested in for Sakura and the team stumbling across the Sasuke tree, or the fact that they're even out there on this mission to do this in the first place. So the village is the one place Hidari is. That's the one place where Sakura isn't looking after all this time. I think especially with like the Sasuke-Sakura bond connection of the fact that Sakura's been waiting in the village her entire life basically for Sasuke to return, especially in the Boruto era with Sarada being there and she's raising him as the only parent. Especially with that, the fact that she's now leaving is like her narrative flaw or whatever, because now that she's leaving, that's the one time Sasuke happens to return. Especially if you add a line in of Sarada being like, Papa, go save Boruto. She awakens her in Mangekyo. And then we get like a flashback or maybe in that scene, whatever. Sasuke says, Sarada, tell Sakura, wait for me or something. So it's like clear that like Sasuke's like, all right, wait in the village. And then Sakura is going out away from the village against Sasuke's orders, quote unquote. And then that's why she isn't there. Narrative irony. There you go.
That could be cool, yeah.
Yeah. The desperation of wanting to go find. It's what's the word for the one Greek story? I don't even know the name of what a Greek story is called. Proverb, not a proverb. The one where it's like the guy is in hell and he can't look back, otherwise he's gonna stay in hell. So he has to like go forward without looking back, and at the last second he looks back and he's stuck in hell or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I don't know the word for this.
It's kind of like that. It's like the desperation at the last minute, huh? Its own human flaw. Yeah. I think that would be cool. And we're just the sand village.
Certainly better than Tubular Vortex.
Anything else you want to add to this? I feel like this was a freaking awesome conversation. Yeah, the Sakura part.
Okay, I'm trying to think. So, well, I definitely am fully on board with the Sarada saying, my mom doesn't believe me, and then Sakura thinks to herself, is the only way to get out of the village, basically to outsmart Shikamaru. Which in a way reminds me of 5 Kage Summit, where Sakura is saying one thing but thinking another to fool the rest of her team. Similar idea there. And guess what? She was going out to Sasuke there too. So that's kind of a callback in a cool way.
2 more things I want to add to this, unless you got more.
No, go ahead.
Okay. The first thing is I think the trees should have an automatic defense mode similar in the War Arc, to where if you get too close or if it detects chakra, it's gonna react. Either the tree itself is gonna attack in the same way it did in the War Arc, or it's just gonna spawn the claw grimes off of itself somehow, even without the claw marks, if you want to say it like that.
It's kind of like the Gara Sand Dome and the Chunin exams with the spikes come out, except there'd be like
that'd be cool, yeah.
Vines reaching out at you.
Well, I was gonna give him like a battle here after you find Sasuke. Oh, you're sad? Well, too bad. Fight Claw Grimes. Or something like that.
But that could work too, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was also gonna say, entirely separate from that, is that in this arc, Sasuke in the village, the whole arc is being treated like a bad guy. He's treated as he already is Sasuke in their eyes, and so he's gonna be treated like that this whole arc. Then again, narrative irony. Once Sakura and the rest of the team get back to the village, now the rest of the village is going to know the entire time that wasn't Sasuke, and Sasuke's in a tree, and oh, maybe Sasuke was an evil after all, and that's going to go against omnipotence, and then Shikamaru's going to have already known that information the entire time, but now the village is going to know it, which is going to help Boruto and blah 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 going forwards, especially with the interrogation if they're going to go that route.
Yeah, especially if it's a hypothetical idea. The vibe of the interrogation is very negative in against Boruto's favor. Essentially, it's making him look bad. But that's when Sakura barges in with this revelation.
Exactly. I was going to say that is that Shikamaru's hand is going to be forced to where he's going to have to order the execution of Boruto, and right before that happens, that's when Sakura comes in. Wait, new information.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
And also, real quick. Ibiki's doing this interrogation in this rewrite. Okay, I don't care what they do in this actual story. The Ibiki is here.
I love it.
We're bringing it back.
By the way, should we have...
Am I gonna let this slide?
Should we have Gaara come back with Sakura in the team in this case? Since they're going to the Sand Village anyways.
Depends on if Gaara is the next Shinju or not. Depends on if Gaara is the Shinju.
That's fair.
If Gaara's the Shinju, then obviously not. If Gaara isn't the Shinju... Well... To some extent, that would be really cool, but to some extent, that might be just too irresponsible of a Kage to just be on this mission. Whereas,
yes, it's possible that he's not even the Kage anymore. It's been 3 years.